All right, let's go. Promote this shit. Oh, just live and promoting the show. Oh yeah. I just realized you guys haven't been going out the whole time. Now people can hear you.
Cool.
Well, yeah, but we haven't started the show, so we're all good.
Oh, by the way, Petey, you know your favorite gun in Helldivers, the laser cannon?
Yeah.
It got upgraded.
Oh?
Yeah, they almost doubled the effective range of it.
Hell
so you can
yeah.
now use it as a sniper rifle.
Oh, I was already starting to do that as was, so okay.
Yeah. It now reaches, what is it, something like 1,600 meters. So you can make, a terminated pay from 1.5 kilometers away now.
Hell yeah, they won't even know it's me.
That's it. They did it because my favorite rifle, the sickle and the double-edged sickle, had that range. So they're like, why is the more powerful version less range? Also, I think they had something against me personally, sniper rifling with an assault laser rifle.
Wait, was it actually letting you snipe with that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, what? That's amazing. I felt like when I was it was pretty short.
I was head clipping with the double-edged sickle from range.
That's awesome.
Especially because it's like, once the thing warms up, it's heavy pen. So you're head clipping overseers and whatnot if you do it right.
Dude, I didn't know it cooked. Is it still cooking or did they nerf it?
No, it's still cooking.
Hell yeah.
The trick with the double-edged sniper though is you need flameproof armor to use it effectively.
Yeah, you told me. I've had flameproof armor. It's like the first thing I bought.
Yeah, flameproof, and the other thing you want to take is the vitality booster when you use it. so that even if you do take a little bit of damage, it's not the end of the world because the vitality just brings it back.
Oh yeah, no, with flameproof, dude, I survive a lot longer in most places. But like, I've gotten so many of the like battle passes from doing hunting and foraging, so like I have a good collection of weapons to mess around with each time I play.
Yeah.
Like I love the grenade sniper rifle and just the grenade hand cannon that does not have any distance.
Yeah.
That one gets me every time. Like I will kill myself so much, so I always make sure I'm getting mobbed.
You know what it's also really good for? You know how you can dig with the shovel and like build trenches? You can totally do that with the grenade launcher.
Dude, that is hilarious. I was using the grenade launcher to break out all the samples.
Yeah.
That was the move. I didn't know you could actually make a full trench.
Yeah, you can do a full trench. I actually, to take out a Vox engine one time, I used the grenade launcher to build me a hole, and then hid in it as the Vox engine was going overhead, and then came up. I'm like, yeah, Vietnam tactics, motherfucker.
Dude, that is some No Man's Sky level terrain manipulation. That's awesome. Oh man.
So they're also talking about buffs to the one true flag, where it has the lure effect. This hasn't been done yet, but the one true flag might wind up with the lure effect. So like mobs see you waving the flag around and they immediately come to try to gank you.
Oh, that could be used as an effective taunt.
Yeah.
Dude, that honestly makes the game feel more like a game. Like right now, it's like a really great battle sim. But if you add a taunt feature, it makes the flag 1,000% worth it.
Well,
I already thought it was funny.
The lure mine already does it, right?
Oh, it does?
Yeah, the lure mine sends out a call that attracts enemies to it, and then it blows up, right?
Oh no, that made sense. But like the idea of like, because like the whole game, the story of the game is like, we are taking over the galaxy as humans of Super Earth. But then at the same time, like it just feels like the bugs are attacking us because we're food. But if you add the flag being like a legitimate taunt, now it sounds more like the bugs are fighting us because they hate the flag itself, which makes it feel more in the game, which is funny and great.
Well, when you think about it, right? Like, okay, I know that like I'm probably gonna get visited by a democracy officer for this. But you got to figure, like, humanity's been kind of torturing the bugs and, you know, farming them for FTL fuel. So, if you were to, like, you know, so they might see the flag as enemy, right? Like, it makes logical sense in that way, right?
Oh, no, not only does it make sense, like, to me, the whole, like, them eating us thing just made sense as well. Like, what do bugs do? They swarm when they find food so that they can bring the majority of the food back to the nest.
Yep.
That all attracts. I just think it's even funnier that, like, now they'll actually hate the flag as much as, like, anybody that is a traitor.
Yeah.
Like, they now feel more like enemies. Like, the robots even made sense. I just wanted them to shout more things.
Yeah.
Like, die, human scum, die.
They say die organic scum.
Oh god, it is 65 degrees outside right now. Jesus.
Honestly, it'd be funnier if the robots were playing propaganda.
God. Fucking freezing.
65?
Yeah, 65 degrees freedom.
Let me find out what my temperature is in freaking freedom units. Hold on.
It's March. We're supposed to be back to... Oh crap, I don't have my hat.
Yeah. Dude, right now it's 14 degrees outside.
Ugh.
And I have 2 centimeters of snow.
Dude, I am finally winning this game for the first time. 71.
Not
Cooking
bad.
quite nicely.
Tonight, we're going to talk about the final frontier finale of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, as well as everything else going on in Hollywood right now that you need to freak out about. All this right now on tonight's E2IPodcast. Podcast. And welcome once again to tonight's entertainment, information, intelligence podcast. I'm Peter York. Sorry about the eyes. Didn't mean to scare you all there. Joined by the ever so lovely Mr. Pollo Zapatos, who's now going to entertain us with what it is you got into today. Or Corey Young can go at the same time, whichever works.
Oh yeah, dude, I just did some work.
Yeah?
Earned some money.
Oh.
I'm hanging out with the kiddos and doing a podcast.
All right. Yeah, that's how we like to do it here. And what about you, Corion? Did you enjoy our little break from Starfleet Academy only to double up all our homework or triple it up or whatever to slog it all out tonight?
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Bullshit fires on starships. Paul Giamatti chewing on scenery. All these things will hopefully be lost in time.
Yeah.
Like tears in rain.
Yeah. No, we have finally, it is finally Tuesday. As you know, in Star Trek tradition, everything, the important stuff doesn't come until Tuesday, and so that's, of course, no different for us here at our podcast being Tuesday. We did, however, try to shift our time back to 8. We ended up launching closer to 8:10, and we are... It's a rework in progress once again. But hey, we're still showing up as often as we can. We're going to try and post content at least, throughout the week. Maybe have some polls and stuff. But I mean, the biggest thing we're going to have to talk about at the end of our discussion, of course, aside from whether or not we're expelling Starfleet Academy or renewing, coming back for season 2. But that'll have to, come after our discussion. And of course, we may have to do something, seriously bold and we'll talk about that, when we get there. It is Star Trek's 60th anniversary this year, so that is something to seriously contemplate. But first, let's get political. Political. Let's get political. FCC Chair Brendan Carr says broadcasters must correct course amid Iran war coverage criticism, or they will lose their licenses. FCC Chair Brendan Carr said broadcasters could lose their licenses if they do not operate in the public interest. Oh wait, I totally forgot to put on the... There's a banner for this. Where you at? No? I misplaced it. Darn, I was going to put up the politics banner. But anyway, operate the public interest, reiterating that President Donald Trump's criticism of media coverage of the Iran war. Broadcasters that are running hoaxes and news distortions, also known as the fake news, have a chance now to correct course before their license renewals come up, Carr wrote on X on Saturday. Now, I will say that, were this any other administration, this would make a lot of sense. This would probably be coming from a place of integrity. I mean, we here at the Writer Brothers pride ourselves being honest, quality human content in the fact that we're going to tell you the truth. However, we're not journalists, we're information chasers. We follow the signal, we bring the facts and the fiction, and we try to sift through it all.
Now, there is a reason why I wanted to bring this story to everybody's attention.
I mean, I'm curious as to what the Canadian,
well, the reason why I brought it up
an opinion where this
was
starts
not
with C?
because of the reason why I brought it up was not actually because of the political, the politics of the U.S. and everything. I was kind of trying to avoid that. But this does set a precedent that is concerning.
Yes.
Which is, if the White House, or at least Brendan Carr, can get a significant say on what is broadcast on channels, how long until content that we enjoy is also under the microscope?
Right. It's the age-old hate speech argument. You know, at what point do we stop declaring, hate speech is really just the speech I don't agree with? And in a lot of ways, that is true. You have to prove harmful speech is harmful. Otherwise, someone's, just because, like for us here on this podcast, for example, we're just saying what we say. Now, of course, there's people out there who will say that, these people hate Starfleet Academy because they're racist bastards. And, well, no, that is not the reason why I disliked Starfleet Academy mostly. Don't get me wrong, it had its high points, but I will argue those later. This, however, is concerning because, yes, we're going to start giving licenses. Now, that said, some initiative does need to be taken by, news outlets that are going to call themselves journalists versus editorials.
Right.
But that's been the debate going back and forth that, only ends up becoming political grandstanding, whether that's Republicans or Democrats. And so that's the thing is like, this has nothing to do with integrity. This has nothing to do with honesty. This has everything to do with making sure that Orange Man gets the coverage that Orange Man, well, if you could call it a man, it's everything that Trump wants for positive Iran, coverage, and that's what it's coming down to. That's what this is. It's not honest. It's a bunch of bullshit. But any last comments on it, John? You're surprisingly quiet.
Oh, dude, TBH. War propagandists gonna war propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, from my perspective on it, look, we have a different setup than you guys have. We have a different standard. We do have hate speech laws here, but they're very specific as to what constitutes hate speech. And there's very, very specific and strict guidelines around it. Right? So, like, and it basically boils down to, are you saying something to try to make a logical, ethical point or whatever, or are you trying to do it to actually incite violence and anger?
Right.
And if you're trying to incite violence, that's when it becomes hate speech, basically. Now, with this piece, though, my concern is more along the lines of, like, yeah, I get it. Look, you want positive, media about the work you're doing. Sure, I get that. But the only way you're going to get positive pieces from here is to have an other side to compare it to.
Right.
Right? If they make everything very, very pro your position, then that becomes the norm and not a powerful, positive thing. If you actually want this sort of thing, you need to present arguments that will sway public opinion.
And I think that's the most egregious part, is that, like, right now all of the network broadcasting is saying the relatively same things they said during Iraq and Afghanistan for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So whatever he's complaining about is literally just saying that he's doing it wrong, which is, like what they said about Biden pulling out of Afghanistan.
Oh yeah,
6 years ago.
Yeah, it's armchair quarterbacking, right?
This is the most, especially from the FCC at this time, it's like, this is the most I want people to praise me.
Yeah.
Whiny baby, popular for no reason type BS that like it is childish. And this to me is just more to the point that, like, this is why the government sucks every time. Because even on their best day, they sound like a whiny nanny. And like I said, like, the majority of the news broadcasts aren't against them. The people that are against them are all of the independent journalists and the podcasters that are like, hey, we don't think that network is covering this properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, turning now to IGN. Niantic Spatial says Pokemon Go data now being used to train delivery robots, as getting Pikachu to realistically run around is actually the same problem. Pokemon Go creator Niantic is using players' augmented reality data to help train delivery robots. Now rebranded as Niantic Spatial, the company has joined forces with robotic startup Coco to help its fleet of 1,000 suitcase-sized delivery vehicles trundle safely through busy city streets, just as Pikachu might if he were real. Oh, I see how they're also gonna use these to, like, you know, have Pokemon characters you chase down, which could become a privacy concern. You know, you follow it to somebody else's delivery and then, like, oh wow, you got McDonald's? It's mine now. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
What could possibly go wrong with this?
Well, the idea is they're able to they're able to take the metadata from people who are, say, walking down the street to catch Pokemon or whatever, right? And use that to map exactly where it's safe to walk and not walk. So they can get the bots into a better position to be able to deliver food and what have you.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, no, this is 100% like the issue with GPS. Like, I don't know if you remember map school, Parker, but like they taught us a lot about the idea that like a grid, when you get a grid point from somebody, you only get within 6 meters of accuracy. So if these things are running on GPS from satellites, they're only getting 6 meters of accuracy, which is actually like quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 30-foot radius around your body. So like what we consider to be obvious, this is the sidewalk, from the satellite's perspective, it's like, no, that's just another part of the Earth.
Yeah.
And so like using this data for that process does make a lot of sense, but honestly, I feel like Google really missed the mark with all of their cars, because like they could have literally mapped the sidewalks with those things.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, it's an interesting idea. You know, I do think it's, you know, using that data in a possibly useful way. So we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right, shifting to the Hollywood Reporter. Vince Gilligan on Sony's reaction to Breaking Bad pitch. The single worst idea I've ever heard. We've all heard how Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan first thought that his beloved crime drama would tell the story of how Mr. Chips-style everyman would churn into Scarface. But during a South by Southwest Film and TV Festival panel on Saturday morning titled Albuquerque Aftermath, From Breaking Bad to Pluribus, Gilligan said he found a notebook which had the very first conception for the show, and it was only 9 words. I found this old notepad in my office a few years back, and it was the very first idea for this, Gilligan said. And who knows where ideas come from. But it said, good guy does something bad to save his family. Then Gilligan retold the story of how he fleshed out his idea of a high school chemistry teacher with cancer who cooks meth to provide for his family, and then pitched it to Sony Pictures Television. Gilligan says a top executive, who is no longer with the company, told him, "That's the single worst idea I've ever heard." Gilligan quickly added, to his credit, he's a good man, and he acknowledged his mistake later. Yeah, I bet, considering that Breaking Bad is quite literally one of the most influential shows of modern TV storytelling.
And profitable. Yeah.
And truly, just to this day, still has a strong cult following of fans that rave about it. Yeah. Of course, Sony would eventually embrace the show, and then AMC came on board as distributor. Gilligan also famously pitched Breaking Bad to HBO, which he's described as one of the worst meetings of his life, with an HBO executive exuding a toxic gamma radiation of disinterest to his pitch. Sounds about par for the course for HBO. Unless it's got dragons and boobies, those teenagers don't give a shit about quality.
Okay, but to be fair, dragons and boobies.
I mean, yes, you make a point when it comes to dragons and boobies, but you've got to do it. There's got to be a little bit more plot when it comes to dragons and boobies. Like, there's got to be. Why do I care about the dragons and boobies?
Dude,
does there though?
I feel like you're complaining about something that got something like 50 episodes of just solid dragons and boobies, and then it got some bad writing towards the last 30 episodes.
You're right. Every episode should have been dragons and boobies, and it probably would have been better. That's it.
So I guess we're saying more dragons and boobies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna finish this one. Gilligan, who shucked his reputation for being a famously nice showrunner, was also asked about working with the writers' room and how he decides whether to go with one of his own ideas or somebody else's. The best thing to do is very quickly learn not to pay attention to whose ideas are worse. I'm not keeping any score in my head, but the moments I'm the most proud in my shows, I don't remember who suggested the idea. The best idea wins. There's a lot of ideas to do this job, and we could be dictatorial, and that maybe works for some, but at the end of the day, I'm so proud of the work. We're not curing cancer in our respective TV shows. There's no reason for people not to enjoy coming to work. Once they get there, they're going to work hard, but there's no reason they have to make it tough on each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
agree.
Yeah.
So, nice job, Gilligan, promoting positive work environment overall.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that like how many people turned him down, and if anything, for all the aspiring writers that watch this show,
Never give
you
up.
know,
Never surrender.
that's it.
Yep.
Right? It just shows, right? Like sometimes the best idea gets rejected a lot first.
Yeah, that's why despite, coming up on celebrating our 399 sub celebration again soon, once we get 399 subs and 10 more subs, we're not giving up either.
That's it. All right.
Former Bethesda game tester, turning back to IGN, once broke Fallout 4 so completely the entire ZeniMax Media company was sent email blasts saying somebody found 4 crashes in a single morning. Former Bethesda game tester Colin McInnery once discovered so many crashes in Fallout 4 that the entire organization received emails saying somebody found 4 crashes in a single morning. McInnery, now at I Am Your Beast developer Strange Scaffold, worked at Bethesda as a game tester during college and said that even then, his approach shifted out of the publisher side and into the dev side. I was working with the Bethesda developers and learning shit from them directly and working on weirder stuff. At one point, I just decided to play hot and cold with the RAM because we were on Xbox One. The Xbox One has 8 gigs of RAM, so you get above that, the game's going to crash. So I brought up a RAM readout and was like, how can I break this? That thought occurring to me, no one else is doing that. That isn't the standard testing practice of how can I leak memory from the game. Jeez. Yeah, alright, this dude definitely went above and beyond in his testing abilities, I'll give him that. But that's what you're supposed to do.
No, that's actually exactly what you do, especially when you get to the more middle cycle of testing, when you're like, most of the builds are functional. Then they say, hey, we need you to brute force this. Try random things. And four crashes. I can get 4 crashes on Bethesda tonight. Bethesda game. Like I could get 4 in a row without even trying that hard.
Yeah, definitely. All right, back to Hollywood Reporter. Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot not moving forward at Hulu. Sarah Michelle Gellar says, so, oh man, or yay.
I say yay, and I'm willing to back up my point on it with data. Okay? For those of you who remember watching the show, imagine now if Buffy was set in the modern era, and how many problems the group faced that would have been solved by each of them having a cell phone. That's the first problem with the current series, is how do you deal with that? The second problem is, I don't think, like, you have to remember that Buffy was created in a very specific time in the 90s. At that point, the Valley Girl, bubbly ditz kind of thing was a verifiable. There were people that were actually like that. So seeing one of them as like the strongest, most powerful woman ever and have it be earned was something unique. The next problem we have is that because it was such a trendsetter, it created an entire plethora of girl boss heroes that were pale imitations. So putting out a new version of this that is treading on the same ground that the first one went through is just going to say to people, well, it's another girl boss superhero. Why do we care? Right? And then I think the last point that I can make that makes the most sense, at least to me, is what exactly is the message we're trying to get across here? Because the first one was definitely about women's empowerment and that women could be, tough, strong individuals. And, it was a discussion about, basically growing up with these demons and whatnot, representing kind of like the challenges one would face in the process of growing up. The problem is, it's a very different world right now. We don't have those same kind of general problems that kids would have faced in the 90s that we can slap a rubber mask on and be like, see, monster. We have a completely different era and a completely different level of difficulties that are being faced by kids. So I think something like Buffy isn't going to land the same way as it did for kids that look to her as a role model now. But I'm curious what you guys think too.
All right, John, what do you think?
Well, I agree with everything Corion said, but honestly, that's like the art of good writing. You figure out a way to take what used to be commonplace and adapt it to modern. Like, there are a lot of adaptations of William Shakespeare, and that's proof of concept. Like, it can be done, but also I feel like the fact that they're saying, you know what, we're going to take a break is actually the same thing that like we've been technically asking for is can you guys stop just nostalgia baiting us with bad? And they're saying, all right, yeah, apparently all we could come up with was bad, so we're done.
Yeah.
And respect. I respect that a lot. But at the same time, I feel like you could do Modern Vampire Slayer very easily. And like you could actually show how the technology is advancing the people, which is why there's so many more vampires these days, is because the technology is making it too easy for the Van Helsing Corporation. And so the vampires are running scared. And because of that scarcity mindset and also like fear of the actually getting caught, because for once it's more obvious than ever, especially like with bio-tracking, like more people than ever are looking at Paul Rudd and going, something's not right.
Nah. Fair enough.
So there you go. Like, that's what I'm saying is like, it could be done. It just hasn't been done. But I do applaud the people that were going to spend money on this saying, you know what, it's not worth it because we can't do it right now.
Yeah. Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot is dead at Hulu. The series star Sarah Michelle Gellar took to Instagram Saturday morning to share that Hulu is no longer moving forward with the project, which is revealed to be in the works in February of 25. I think we even touched on that a little bit. I'm really sad to have to share this, but I wanted you all to hear it from me. Unfortunately, Hulu's decided not to move forward with Buffy New Sunnydale, the actor said in a video. I want to thank Chloe Zhao because I never thought I would find myself back in Buffy's stylish yet affordable boots, and thanks Chloe, I was reminded how much I love her and how much she means not only to me, but to all of you. She added, this doesn't change any of that, and I promise that if the apocalypse actually comes, you can still beat me. Sources close to the show say Hulu is still mulling over next steps and is leaving the door open. So, I think, honestly, after reading that, and, you know, considering that they're not doing it right now, I think, Corion, you make a valid point, and maybe that's why we need to wait a couple more years at least to see what this show could actually be. Because, yes, we've already had the, you know, girl boss, and, I mean, I wouldn't want to wait too much more years. She still looks really great for the role. But I think what it's going to take a little bit more time to get out of the you know, girl boss phase of pop culture, because yes, it has been everywhere, and I think John's got a good point that the writing is what could really take it, and maybe it's just not quite there yet. So hopefully, you know, maybe something can be put together, and maybe the delay and maybe waiting for now, maybe putting it on ice a little while longer is the smart play. I'd say that's probably my best. But that's just someone on the outside looking in. I'm not a huge fan of Buffy, mainly because I just never got into it, so it's not like trying to be
Fair.
mean or anything. So it just, yeah. Get away from him, you. Star Wars Baby Yoda attended the Oscars and featured in a bizarre Sigourney Weaver alien skit. I peed myself a little. Star Wars adorable Baby Yoda entered last night's Academy Awards, where he took part in an odd skit with fellow The Mandalorian and Grogu stars Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver. Oh, yeah, I saw that. It was, I'm gonna be honest, as far as trying to get people excited for the new Star Wars movie goes, this was bad. Screw it. Put my money where my mouth is and watch it. Alright, hold on. Make sure we put the pause on the musics. And we gotta bring up the volumes for the people at home.
Okay.
Sometimes even alien worlds that our characters live in.
You've had some experience with those.
A little. The good, the bad, and the downright adorable. Get away from him, you bitch.
Wow, good character recall. I peed myself a little.
I mean,
Dude, are they like doing it intentionally bad or what the
It's
hell?
my soft maternal instinct.
I'm sorry, Kate.
Kate, I stand by it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just backstage and I noticed something. They cut to
I
Grogu
feel like they're
in
doing
the
it in
audience,
slow motion.
and I
for
realized
some reason.
Grogu
I don't know. It's
can't
just
clap.
where's
Try
the
to
timing?
clap, Grogu. Try to clap. No. What a cruel thing to do to bring a creature who can't clap to an award show. Is there no bottom to these people? We'll be right back with more Oscars. Clap, Grogu. Clap. Clap. Clap.
Is there no bottom to these people? No, Mr. O'Brien. Unfortunately, there really isn't, it seems, when it comes to just the stupid shit we can do with Star Wars. Ah.
I mean, I am going to say it was a cute idea.
Yeah. So was Starfleet Academy.
No, like
Oh,
I'm
no,
gonna give
not
them
mad
credit
at the
here.
Baby Grogu at all. Like,
Yeah.
it was 100% a cash grab character.
Yeah,
Still working for me. Still a good character. Like every
I
show
mean-
that he's been a part of, only Mandalorian was pretty great. But like he's never been that bad. And also like Yoda was this old geezer and yet he still fell into our hearts. And now we get the baby and it still works. It's impressive.
I mean, I think it would have been funnier if the one they brought to the Academy Awards was like smoking a cigar and like had sunglasses on or something like that. Like just a complete deviation from what we expect from a baby, like what we expect from
Oh.
Grogu.
100%. Like the ET, like they used to do the spoofs like that. Like, no, he's actually an actor. He's just
Yeah.
that size.
Yeah, like that would have been funny to me, right? Like, but I appreciate them attempting to generate hype for Mando and Grogu by trying all kinds of different things, right?
Yep, absolutely. All right, turning still on IGN. Bethesda boss Todd Howard will stay the course on Starfield, says veteran composer, who also believes people were just not ready for it at launch. Oh boy.
Big dog.
Here
the
we
game
go
is
again.
For fans at launch.
That's it.
Like you had a day one patch. Don't ever come at the fans and say you're not ready for this if you have a day one patch, because apparently you weren't ready for it either.
John's already shutting him
Mr.
down before we did the
billion-dollar
article.
company that just got bought out by Microsoft. Don't ever come at us. Like you are a corporate shill. Act like it.
Right.
For the record, there was a day 1 patch, a day 2 patch, and a day 4 patch.
Right, yeah. As all the good games, have patches when they launch. Only the best games patch right away. Bethesda boss Todd Howard will continue to work on Starfield and ensure the company's ambitious space game can eventually become something that will be legendary. Oh, dude, you're doing a good job of that.
Okay, in that case, I take back what I said, because that is one thing Bethesda has done very well every time is the special edition adds way more features that everybody wanted. But you know, Todd, really what we want is a storyline. Your game has zero through line. It is all surface level. It is the weakest of all of your series these days.
It's
And
more boring than
like,
freaking No Man's Sky.
Dude, seriously, somehow there is less interaction than No Man's Sky. But No Man's Sky, you can't even understand the creatures until you learn at least 150 words.
That you just arbitrarily find on every single planet that, you know, isn't the same, but also is, because they have the same. All right, yeah. We'll get into the gripes of No Man's Sky later. Speaking to RPG site veteran, video game composer, and frequent Bethesda collaborator Enon Zur, said he believes Starfield had simply been ahead of its time.
That's a bold strategy there, Cotton.
Oh, man.
Let's see how it plays out.
We just don't get. Oh, this is, what is this, the fucking Zack Snyder of game developers? I'm just ahead of my time, guys, okay? Like, you weren't ready for me. Dude, get it. You blew your load way too soon. All right, I'm gonna try reading that again.
It's not even that. It's like, Big Dog, look at Fallout New Vegas. It has been done. So there is literally no excuse from you and yours that Starfleet is so bland.
Starfield.
And also has load screens. Because look at No Man's Sky. You could have paid those guys to teach you how to do it. To license part of their procedural generation. Because you procedurally generated everything else. Like, stop being so arrogant. This is what I say. Act like a corporate shill. Go buy better. Because you can afford it.
Yeah.
And then write a good story. Like, I don't even care if Todd's responsible for the writing. Buy a better writer. You've done it before. Again, see Fallout.
I got into No Man's Sky because Starfield is so bad and lacking so many features when it comes to, transmit. It is not ahead of its time. You guys are so far behind the curve on all things video game. Like,
Except they did have the best anti-grav mechanics so far.
Yes.
So again, that's why I'm saying just go buy the other parts. Like, you don't have to redo the whole thing, especially because that's never what Bethesda's been known for. Bethesda's been known for doing what No Man's Sky did before No Man's Sky did it. Like, their DLC, their patches, their upgrades, they were truly that. It's just Starfield so far, the 2 DLCs that have been released have been lackluster.
Yep, that's what it says in the article here. Yeah. He is very persuasive and is very strong character, Zur said of Bethesda boss Todd Howard, who helped drive development on Starfield during its lengthy time in production. He will also find ways to describe what he wants without really calling it a name. Oh, so he's like passive-aggressive. Got it. He knows how to allow freedom of creativity on one hand, but also how to steer it to his own vision. He is a visionary. No, he's not. He's a Kathleen Kennedy. He's a freaking creative vampire.
Oh, dude. No, he was 100% a visionary. The problem is his vision was a lot closer to trains than it was to, like,
a
creative.
video game?
No, like, I mean creative in terms of, like, he literally is the one that coined open worlds. Like, Fallout 4 and
3.
Skyrim have sold more games than anybody else ever.
3 was also
Almost
Todd
as many
Howard too.
games as the Bible.
Yeah.
And that's insane. So, like,
we had an open world
Todd Howard
before
was a
Fallout
visionary,
3.
But his vision was literally like
Open
what we
world was
consider
coined
to
by
be the
Rockstar.
norm. And now I'm saying, like, dude, your vision has been achieved. Now pay people to paint it prettier. And that's all I'm saying is like, you're not, like, I don't think Todd Howard deserves any, like, shots in terms of him being, like, in the way.
His ego deserves a
deserves
few
shots in
shots with
terms
these
of, like,
crazy sentences.
Well, he sounds a lot more like a guy who just got into the industry, not a guy who's been running.
You guys literally just told me he's a veteran dev, and I'm like, yeah, what? He sounds like a freaking egotistical teenager.
But see, that's the problem is like, A, he's a nerd. He's never doing these like
Like,
these conversations with journalists until he absolutely is, and even then,
Yeah.
it's not like the journalists are ready to deal with the nerd. But like, I listened to Todd Howard on Lex Friedman's podcast, who is a super game nerd and also a robotics nerd. So like, when they talk to each other, they actually get into the love of the game and the love of the work. And that's why I say, like, Todd doesn't deserve shots. He's just also acting like he hasn't been in charge. And that's where he needs to really like come into his current position. Like, you are the forefront leader. You can take your time. Like you did with Starfield, and now you're doing with Elder Scrolls 6. Like, everybody's still waiting for it. Please invest in the writing. Because obviously your devs, obviously the engines of the modern time are capable of producing whatever those writers can give you. And your writers will save everything at this point. Because obviously everybody else can do the quality graphics and the quality worlds now, because you already showed them how. So now you need to show them that it's time to invest in good writing.
all right, the music has silenced. It is time to shift to a somber mood for a moment and acknowledge the life and passing of William C. Dietz. Corione, I believe you have a...
Yeah, so you guys may know Dietz from some of his work. He's done an awful lot. His first work was Galactic Bounty, which was in '86. He followed up with several books in that Imperial Bounty series. He did a bunch of military adventure kind of novels. And the reason why you guys might know him specifically is he was one of the writers. He was the writer for the Halo Flood novel, and he contributed to the Halo series of video games, as well as 3 Star Wars expanded universe novels, featuring Kyle Katarn. Okay. 2 books in the Resistance universe, with novels based on the video games for Mass Effect, Hitman, and StarCraft. He also wrote the script for the Legion of the Damned game based on the book of the same name, and co-wrote Resistance Burning Skies. So he's done a lot to provide not just the feedback on some of the major series that we've played in games, but the ancillary data where a lot of us get like our beta and alpha canon like sources from, right?
Yeah.
Halo Flood is one of the more critical books if you're really into the Halo universe.
Definitely.
So
certainly a life lived in full, and we'll now take the next 10 seconds here as a quick moment of silence to acknowledge, and then move on to our next piece. So. All right. Yeah, that's probably going to be our new tradition going forward with those. We'll do them. All right, segueing into our finale review, Thomas Jane has been cast as Dr. Leonard McCoy, specifically for the upcoming last season of Strange New Worlds. So I believe season 5 is when we should see his appearance. This, and supposedly
and Sulu's going to be joining him in that season as well.
Yes, Sulu has also been cast as well. Honestly, I think if all people not Carl Urban, I think this is probably the best choice we could get.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of excited and curious to see how this plays out, where this goes. I mean, Strange New Worlds itself is a show.
Yep.
That is worth watching at least one episode of this first season. The rest is up to you.
Yeah. I mean, it can only go up from where it currently is.
Well, and this supposedly is potentially leading to the rumored Year 1 spinoff. So they're gonna reboot TOS.
They're gonna try to reboot TOS.
Yeah.
Okay. And in this reboot, do they intend to, tell good stories? Because that's been missing for the last while from Star Trek.
Yeah. All right, it is now time to set phasers to, well, probably copyright infringement if I decide to start pulling clips, but pretty much to the maximum level of what in the ass is going on in Star Trek these days. I honestly cannot understand. Like we had. Let me start first of all by saying that we have moments of Star Trek in this Star Trek show. Believe it or not.
Yeah, we do.
Compared to, I will say that no, it is not Discovery Season 2 or Picard Season 1 bad. I think that a lot of people are saying that this is the worst Star Trek ever, it sucks, it's bad. Yeah, it's definitely star poop. I would say that over 60% of it is star poop. That's why final grade, right out of the gate, D-. But that's, it has moments. Robert Picardo is probably the high point of Starfleet Academy. I liked the whole arc between him and Sam, and then going back and being her father and doing that whole thing was, I think, an excellent callback to one of Voyager's toughest episodes. And I think that they've been able to respect the canon as far as the character of the Doctor, the best character in Voyager, and one of the best Star Trek characters ever. So there's at least the consistency there with the Doctor and how he's been presented in this show that I enjoy. But
I mean, I kind of feel like they underutilize the Doctor.
Fair enough. I will agree with that. I will think that,
right.
Yes, Season 2 we could do to see more Doctor.
Like, I actually feel like part of the issues for me is, while we certainly got a fair bit of the kids, right? We got our, Star Trek 90210.
A little heavier on the 90210.
Yeah, what I would have liked to have counterbalanced it with, though, is more of the bridge crew of the Athena.
Yes,
or
I
like
agree.
The teachers, getting together in the teachers' lounge and talking through the events of what's going on, right? We could have had those like deep philosophical Star Trek moments by like the teachers getting together in the teachers' lounge and being like, oh man, I'm not sure what the hell I'm going to do with this kid. And somebody going like, oh well, I found I managed to get his focus by doing this, so maybe try some of that, and it kind of leading to the background of it becomes a B plot almost in and of itself, supporting the A plot.
Yeah.
Right. And that I think would have definitely helped the show, because the problem is the concept isn't terrible, right?
Yeah.
And the actors they got, I would argue, are actually pretty good, right? I mean, the only one I really had an issue with at any one time was the girl playing Sam. And that's because I felt like she was laying too much into the kid. But once she got her standalone, episode with the Doctor there, which was a B plot that really should have been the A plot of the episode.
The B plot of that episode is what definitely compensates for the cringe factor of the A plot, and it should have been, yes, the primary focal point, because, oh man.
Right. Now, when you do that, I mean, post that episode, Sam is actually a really decent character. She's got her own agency. She's dealing with the fact that the previous her, she doesn't feel was her. That's a really powerful piece you could have played with, right? We had a lot of deep, meaningful discussions we could have had that could have given the audience an opportunity to make up their own mind about the situations that were being faced. And getting that from the teachers as like the voice of experience would have been really good. So I don't necessarily think Starfleet Academy is bad. I think it just missed the mark very substantially.
it has moments where, you know, yes, it's a college show about college kids, but Poyo and I were discussing in the background before this show started, and he brought up a very good point that part of what would make a show like this more enticing, more engaging, is having some episodes about classes.
Yeah.
You know, doing the boring stuff that makes... And it's like, the other thing is, we only got 10 episodes for this season, and instead of, like, you know, picking a couple of threads to follow, we just kind of packed all of this...
We got railroaded into a
giant
metaplot.
galactic shit going on. All of it's all connected and tied to Mir and Mir's mother, and it all was so stupid. I mean, it was just not... Again, ideas that maybe could have played out over a couple of seasons, or maybe we could have just focused more on the character development and grounded the show more on the schooling side of things. It's like, it's a Star Trek show with the skin of college students and development, but then it's gonna also be about all the philosophy and the politics of everything going on at the same time, and everyone's
And
involved in all of
the kids are
it.
gonna be as wise as the teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
This is basically the frickin' Navy Academy, all the cadets at Annapolis getting with the President of the United States and then going on adventures is basically what this show turned into.
I actually equate it to Star Trek The Magic School Bus.
I think that we were robbed of that too, to be honest. I don't even call it that. I think that it got deviated from what, because that would have been a much more enjoyable show in my opinion.
Fair.
Because that at least explains, and that's the other problem is, so it specifically we have this Omega 47, which I will give credit to. We created a super doomsday nuclear device that at the very least by the end of the plot we have completely neutralized. It's no threat to anyone. It'll never be again. Great.
Well, actually, this causes a whole new problem, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's the generations conundrum, you know? We come up with plot points and really cool moments and cool ideas, but then we just, you know, well, how do we get to that? He shoots a missile into the sun and it causes the thing to move, and that's just like... Do you have any idea what you just introduced in the universe? No, you don't realize that you basically created a pocket nuclear device that blows up entire stars within seconds that will basically change the politics of the freaking universe again. Oh, but we just kind of move on to it by First Contact and forget that's there. Oh, right, in First Contact, we go into a crazy, convoluted time travel plot that also makes no fucking sense without a bunch of fan headcanon. Tune in later for my First Contact rant. Anyway, that'll be a title video. First Contact is not as good as you remember. And no, it's not just clickbait.
Well, here's my point on the okay. So for those who didn't watch the show, first, consider yourself lucky. Second,
Wario may not be coming back for season 2.
The main plot of the last 2 episodes revolves around the Omega particle, which is something that we encountered in Voyager. It basically wipes out faster than... No, but it basically wipes out faster than light. There are problems with it.
Oh,
but
because it was really well. Okay, if you focus more on the character development for 7 of 9 and how
it was good,
you know, it mirrors that.
But,
yes, that's the good part. But yes, the implications of Omega itself are well. All right. I keep forgetting.
Hear me out.
You haven't got that far in STO yet.
Well, hear me out though. So by the end of this, the big part about why Omega is so dangerous is it's so wildly unstable that screwing around with it even a little can potentially screw up faster than light travel and communications for thousands of light years. Okay, that premise I can buy. And the premise of the reason why everyone keeps trying to screw around with it is because if you could finally stabilize it, you would have virtually unlimited power available to you.
Yep.
Well, in these episodes, the way they solve the major problem in the episode is they stabilize it. Now, the implication of this being You just handed the Federation effectively unlimited energy. Think about that for a second. They don't need matter, antimatter, warp drives anymore. They don't need dilithium crystals to amplify the power anymore. You just need like a dozen omega particles on every ship, and now you're going faster than light,
Well,
no
the
matter
first
what.
thing is, I
You
don't
want
think
to run a planet, an entire planet's energy grid? Chuck a vial of this stuff in, and suddenly every planet available to the Federation has unlimited energy resources. The entire premise of the burn was to make it so that space travel was once again rare and difficult. You've now undercut your own premise of why the burn happened, because now they've put a huge amount of it out there sitting in little pick-me-up sample cases that are all neutralized and ready to be massive power sources for every ship or planet that you ever would want to. Does anyone else see the inherent problem with a plot like that? You've created a situation where you will never have another conflict in space again because you've handed them unlimited power.
right. Just like you give them unlimited nukes that could destroy the entire universe and all that, and we just kind of brushed off. Although my understanding was that stabilizing the Omega 47 ended up neutralizing it, not making it, not stabilizing it to be used as like a fusion core.
They
never clarified that. They also never really clarified what the whole purpose of the burn was, that it got rid of all the dilithium and whatnot, but then there are like other ways that they do warp drive, and now they didn't really explain.
Oh no, what happened with the burn, because this is in Discovery.
Right.
They find out that it was a dude that caused the burn.
Yeah.
That he was like basically a mutated person that caused all the dilithium to explode. That was being actively used. But since he's dead now, they never have to worry about that again. That's why you can't get a second burn.
Oh my god, that is so dumb. That is like the dumbest of the dumb.
Yup.
And that's the problem, is a lot of star poop has been built on the star poopiest star poop movie ever made, Star Trek Generations.
Yep.
You know, ever since we've ended up in the Picard, singular timeline, is when... Now, don't give me... So this is where the discussion... I mean, John, do you have anything you want to say on the show now for the discussion, or...
What's that?
Well, you had some thoughts on Starfleet Academy and why you're excited to watch season 2.
Oh my god, dude. Starfleet Acne really... It's so bad, but for all the wrong reasons. Like, it was so easy to just look at Acolyte and be like, okay. Like, this is some form of, like, power fantasy for one of the writers. But, like, Starfleet Acne isn't really a power fantasy. It's exactly what Corion just said. They took a 3-season arc and turned it into 2 episodes of an issue. Like, at the very beginning, this is why it's so hard to find new people. This is why Starfleet Academy is different than it was from what you learned about Kirk and Spock and how they went to the Academy. The new one's new. But then that was episode 1. And then episode 10, they fixed it. All the problems are done. Like, I feel like this show simultaneously didn't want to cook. Like, they didn't want to deal with anything, like Corion has said many times on earlier episodes, which you should all go back and watch, where he stated that, like, the characters fit the normal 5-man band and then don't.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same with this story, is like they had a perfect world-changing event and now they don't. Like, I just watched 5 seasons of 7 Deadly Sins and rewatched 4 Nights of the Apocalypse and watched all of the 7 Deadly Sin movies on Netflix. And I didn't watch the same episode twice in something like 40 hours of content, 80 hours of content, I think. 80 hours of content. And yet somehow in Starfleet Acne, I watched some Star Trek episodes I've seen before with new faces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the finale
A lot
was essentially like a sloppy seconds encounter at Farpoint that really kind of solved and boiled down to, it was just not great, is really what I have to come down to.
I
Like,
mean-
it was very lackluster.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, you guys remember when we all played Halo Reach and we were like, why are the guns so much better and cooler in the prequel? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, because the graphics updated. But the reality is, like, they're technically not better and cooler. If you notice, it takes longer to kill everything, which also makes it feel more realistic. So it's like, what is going? Interesting way to do the writing. Like I said, it's about the writing, because like that was the difference. They made it harder to kill the enemies, but the guns looked nicer. Turns out it was just graphics, and also Master Chief is a badass.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like, this show was like, you know what? We have this really complex world. Let's simplify it. And
Yeah.
that's all they did. And,
Yeah.
and like the amount of times where it was like, you're starting an episode and it sounds like it's going to be more of like a joke, more of a fun comedy, heartwarming. And then it turns out it's a soap. It turns out it's a teen drama. It turns out it's guns in space with teen drama. It turns out that the 18-year-old who's actually 27, who looks like he's 42, needs his mommy to be able to, then turn around and go, actually, mommy, I'm a man.
Yeah.
I've been a man this whole time because I didn't have you. And now that I have you, I'm going to go back to doing exactly what I was doing yesterday. So like literally nothing is resolved, but everything is solved.
Yeah. Like, there's so many things in here that I'm infuriated by, because it was just laziness on the part of the writers and not deep thinking on the writers' part. Like, this was a cool idea if Discovery didn't exist. Because the idea behind Discovery is the Federation inadvertently built a ship that can literally travel anywhere. Right? And then they had to come up with like this like BS reason why Discovery couldn't just solve the plot. Because it should have just been able to like jump outside of the minefield, find the dude responsible, and gun him down. Right? But then they had to be like, oh, well, we got to put in a throwaway line about how, you know, Discovery's spore drive only works when it's convenient for the plot.
Right, it too
Okay,
could trigger the
actually-
bombs.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that. It was the laziest. Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like that
Well,
was their only answer, was we don't know, and they just said that was good enough. Like, you can't be president of the galaxy, the Federation galaxy, and then say, yeah, we're just not going to risk anything. And also, how many fucking mines entrapped?
Oh, God.
100 million miles.
Well, no. I actually did the math on this. I did the math. Okay.
It's
when
a
you
bubble,
actually,
because it looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a line.
no, because it was a bubble. They did show it as a bubble. But here's the piece that it works out to be. You have to remember that the Federation has dramatically shrunk. Okay.
But
So,
they
like-
still said it was like 100 million miles.
Yeah, but given that the range on these mines, you would only need about 300 or so of them. And that's a reasonable number.
Steals 300 whole mines. So this is the part of the plot that I'm gonna
Well,
get
it's
a
not
little.
just stealing it, it's synthesizing them too, right? And he
It's-
would have had a while to do it.
It's
Not only is it synthesized, it's fucking placing them. What did he shoot, a bubble gun?
Well,
That
they have
somehow missed
they have
everything?
cloaks.
I don't. The mines didn't have cloaks. Like they
We
were
don't know
on the
that.
search for omega particles.
oh no,
for
the mines were
whole
visible.
show.
They had a whole.
The mines were visible after they activated. Before that, they could have put them in place cloaked.
But the particle was what was being searched. Like, what cloak hides particles?
more
anything,
importantly,
it just reflects data. Like, this is what I'm saying.
more
is, like,
importantly, well, it's not
nobody-
just that.
They had all of the nerdiest actors. They cared all about the metrics of acting, but none of the actual like.
But they
functional
No,
literally,
metrics.
if they cared about the metrics of acting, they would not have let Paul Giamatti chew on scenery for 2 episodes straight.
Dude, but Paul is so good. I loved his acting. I never had a problem with him as a character. I
Yeah,
had
but
a
it was
problem
just, it
with
was
his
too
power
much.
share.
it was again like the rest of the plot,
too
over the
much
top.
Still.
Yeah.
But like his
And that's-
acting was
right.
100% in line with everybody else's acting.
Yeah. So these are my biggest gripes with the plot overall. Is first of all, Paul Giamatti comes up with this plan to pull Starfleet to this one incident, and that's enough for Starfleet to pull its defenses from its not so well kept super secret base. But where they have these super duper nukes that are way worse than the burn ever posed. And he's able to do this one thing to pull the fleet to this one spot to get them off of this one. Okay, even in my own story, when I
But we
wanted my
didn't-
characters to steal nukes, I had to accept the fact that the American Space Navy, even if this new carrier, which, okay, already going to dry dock right out of the gate, that tracks.
Yeah.
But even if it had its nukes on board, they're still going to be guarded by a fleet. Even if it's a small fleet of ships. And so I had this whole thing where they,
but
you
here's
know,
the best
chase each
part.
other, whatnot.
All of that happened off screen and Paul never explained it. Like if he went
Yeah.
George Clooney Ocean's 13 explaining the plan,
That would've been good.
so
That would have
much
been
worse.
badass.
It would have been so bad because
like,
then you would
yeah.
have to actually account for
First
the
of all, I
metrics. You'd be like,
distracted,
what do you
right, I
mean
distracted
you
all your
got
ships with
everything?
this. Oh, and by the way, I was distracting you here, and I was distracting you there, and then I had these guys, a special team of Van Rye
No,
SEALs,
no.
show up.
But see, here's the problem. That's not the story that we got.
Now,
So the story that he would be explaining is what we got. So like they were just unguarded,
they're just stupid.
and I just took them.
Star poop.
And if you explain that, then we're like, oh my lord, this is so much worse.
It's,
And that's what I mean is like there's no metrics, there is just acting.
there is just
Like,
star poop.
Here's the scene, chew. And everybody chewed. And they did. Like none of the actors are bad.
No,
Just
look,
the
I
whole
absolutely
point
do
is
think that.
non-existent.
I do think that the acting, look, I do think the actors are good. You know, I want to make that clear. I do think that, you know, I will say the directing was actually fairly decent. There wasn't anybody that felt particularly bad for a protracted period of time that didn't have a plot reason for, you know, feeling weird. So I will say the directing was probably pretty good too. The problem with this boils down to the writers and the showrunner. That's where I lay the blame for the problems here.
Oh, 100% it's on the editing floor. Like,
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
these people into making more episodes. Sell more episodes.
All right.
Tell us that it's going to be 2 parts. You're going to get 10 episodes this month and 10 episodes in 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, we
26
have-
episodes make sense, especially with these stories that are meant to cook. And also, if you actually hire some chefs, aka writers,
All right, we have 2 decisions to make. The first decision has to do with Starfleet Academy. The second decision we don't necessarily have to make tonight, but we do need to discuss the second decision. So the first decision is whether or not to expel Starfleet Academy from our watch list. Are we going to come back for season 2? Poyo, what's your call?
oh no, I'm not. Unless you come back and go, dude, everything you said was right. They finally got good writing. Episode 1 was a real slow burn, but everybody was cool. Then I'll watch episode 1. But I'm not promising anymore. I'm done with that. That's bad. It hurt.
So, all right, John
Honestly,
does
when they
not
say
want
don't
to
cram
watch.
for the test. It's all I've ever done, and I did that last night and this morning. And
John does not want to watch
Constant.
Discovery season 2, or Discovery, excuse me, Starfleet Academy season 2.
No,
Corey,
I think you were right the first time. Discovery 2.
Discovery season
two.
7. Anyway,
Yeah.
Corione, your thoughts?
I have recently watched Animal House, so I am proposing that we put it on double secret probation. And we give it an episode or two of the second season, but if they pull the same nonsense, we're out.
So here's what's going to happen. I gave it a D-. Picard season 1, F.
Yeah.
Picard season 1 is so bad, I didn't watch season 2. Because I didn't watch season 2, I gave season 3, the TNG reunion special, a chance, and I loved it for what it is. But Picard season 1 is still ass. Discovery season 2, ass. And the clips I watched between 3 to 5, ass. Not enough to entice me to come watch it again. So, D- passable. Not the full thumbs down. Technically,
I think we are sending Starfleet Academy to summer school.
we are definitely putting it on double secret probation. Corione, here is what I'm going to do to meet you in the middle. So, Academy Season 2 will be viewed for sure. I will be watching as many episodes as I can. I am willing to give this show the second season because they did do things to deviate from Star Trek Discovery. One of them being they turned the fucking lights on.
Yeah, I mean, that was good.
Someone in the 32nd century realized we can actually light things up again. Optimism is there, okay? The Star Trek optimism, the life of this show, it has the heart. It can find itself still. Robert Picardo, I'm sorry about your back surgery, but you did well carrying this season through to the finish line. You are the only reason, honestly, between him and Sam, are really the only two that just really have me excited to come back for season 2. Otherwise, you're right. The rest of the actors and characters, they can have their chance to grow. So, here's what we're doing. Starfleet Academy Season 2 will be the last segment of the podcast when it airs. We'll go through it week by week again. If it gets bad and I just need to kill it over the finish line, that's probably what I'll do. But, it will be the last segment. So, Corione, if you get to, 2 or 3 episodes in, and you don't want to take it off of double secret probation, then I alone will probably try to shoulder that show as long as I can if it's really that bad. And just, like I said,
I'm hoping I can bring it back to secret probation.
I am keeping to my principles. And my principles require me to give season 2 a shot because while there is mostly star poop, it is mostly star poop, there are brief moments of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like the writers suffer brief moments of competency.
Right, yeah, they just have moments of clarity that could work. So, bringing us into the second part of and this may require us to break our 5-year rule with DS9 with the next thing that I'm about to propose. And we have until September to really consider launching this. It might also need to be a new show. A separate show that we do. And we can figure out a day that we can figure out to make sense for it, because this might have to be, and this will kind of, I might actually dedicate this to the memory of Clobbering Times, because he was the guy that was doing the Saturday night Star Trek episode by episode.
Right.
It is the 60th year anniversary of Star Trek as of September 6th this year. It will be the 60th anniversary. September 8th in the United States if you celebrate on the American calendar. Maybe we should make the effort to actually go through all... God, we're doing a Star Wars revival this year, and it would just make perfect sense, wouldn't it? We're going to go through all the Star Treks. And we will go and decide. But here's the catch. Here's our thing. We could use the A through F system. We could use the 1 through 10 point scale. We could use whatever anybody wants to use for specific dissections. But I think ultimately we're going to come down to a singular dividing line. I know, it's Star Trek. How can we make it a black and white decision? I honestly think.
Well, you see, you take a person and you put black on one side and white on the other.
No. God, freaking gross, racist piece of trash. Put white on one side, black on the other.
Nice.
Anyway, what we do is we decide Star Trek or Star Poop. And that will be the final determining factor of what we stack. Because, and yes, the original series is up for, because even though I've always held it as the holy Star Trek, it has its moments of its own.
I would suggest we do it season by season.
I mean, yeah, well, how do you, so what do you think of, like, we start with one season, take a little break, go to another season?
Like what we do is when we're taking it up, we do like the original series season 1 as one take up. And, you know, bring out, like, these are the episodes we really thought were good. These were the episodes we really thought missed. And then give that season a grade and go season by season. Because Trek changes a lot season to season.
I think we have to do, at the very least, we have to either consider portioning it down to half seasons if we're going to go with that.
Yeah, something
or
like that.
Quarter seasons, because it's 20 to 24 episodes a season. So judge it that way. But I also, honestly, I miss the Deep Space Nine dialogues. I miss, first of all, getting John's initial reaction to my favorite Star Trek show. So we still need to finish DS9 probably before we embark on this.
Yeah.
But like, that's what really the Star Trek discussions was something that was really making it. And honestly, if we set it as its own show with its own content, and honestly, Ranger Donnie, I'm going to get to your comments in a second. Let us know in the comments what you guys think, what you'd like to see. But honestly, I'm okay with doing like 4 to 8 episode blocks per episode. And honestly, I think 4 probably is the magic number. But it wouldn't be tied to the Tuesday podcast. It's not going to be what we do on this show. This show still stays separate with pop culture news, focusing on the Star Wars revival starting next week, and, whatever new content. Oh, yeah, Star Wars revivals next week, and then 2 weeks after that, Maul's coming out. So we're going to have a live Star Wars show with our favorite Star Wars movies and shows and video games to talk about all this month leading up to the Mando and Grogu premiere for May 22nd.
There we go.
So I think for Star Trek, though, we'll call it Star Trek versus Star Poop. It's my working title. And we're going to go through episodes by episode. We're going to see which ones stay consistently to the Star Trek ideas. Not necessarily the Roddenberry Bible. I do not like the Roddenberry Bible as a metric of, well, this is what real Star Trek is. No. Because by that logic, you have to go with Roddenberry's crappy, convoluted Star Trek II script. So, even Roddenberry was wrong about his own methods and his own models at times. And so we have to accept the fact that the Roddenberry Bible is a way, and we can argue where it would make sense in a show to use the Bible, but it's not the way for Star Trek. And Deep Space Nine proved that by deconstructing the Roddenberry Bible in a respective, yet, like wanting to make Star Trek relevant for the modern era. Like, DS9 is so fucking brilliant. Go ahead, Coriana, and then I'm going to read Donnie's comment.
Oh, there was one other thing that I was going to suggest we consider doing.
Yes, we will also do Babylon 5.
No, I wasn't going to say that. Star Trek Voyager has a roguelike out. Where you basically go through the plot of Voyager and can make alternate decisions and decide different ways of doing things. For example,
the new Star Trek Voyager video game?
Yeah, the Voyager video game.
Yeah.
We should seriously consider the group of us doing a Let's Play of that.
Yes. And that we could do on this channel too, because that would be appropriate with all of us on it and streaming it and sharing it on the screen. So Let's Play for the new Star Trek game. I think we'll have to figure out when to pencil that in. That might have to be later this year, leading up to the 60th anniversary. But we have an excuse for it coming up in September. So, absolutely. Plus, Voyager, probably one of the most crazy series. All right. Ranger Donnie says, hello, PD, Poyo, all happy St. Patrick's Day. Hope everyone is well, despite Comcast NBC exiting the first-run syndication business. But Hasbro discontinuing the Power Rangers Lightning connection. What? Hasbro's being a dumpster fire company still. How could they? No, really, how could they? Do they just not like money? Hey guys, I have an idea. Let's not
They don't
make
like toy collectors. I know that for sure.
Let's not make any money and let's piss everybody off. Oh, what a great idea. The Trump business model. Although the season 1 finale of Star Trek Starfleet Academy was a missed opportunity for me overall. Yeah. I give it a season 1 of a C-. Whoa! Donnie coming in with the generous high grade of a C- on Starfleet Academy season. Well, that's bigger than mine. Mine's D-, so I am coming back for season 2.
All I have to ask is, after you found out our grade, did Genesis or Sam come into your office and ask what they could do to get a better grade?
Oh yeah, like you wouldn't up that if that happened. Well, Genesis or the Beta Z chick. Can't remember her name now. Go figure.
Talia or Talitha.
Tamira. Her name
Tamira.
sounds like music. It was actually a pretty decent line. Even my good friend Jesse Gender, a fan of all generations of Star Trek, agrees on how boring that season 1 finale was. It was just too much in a single season, and
too much in a single episode.
And my problem is it didn't rely enough on the boring to be a good show about college students learning to struggle in life. It needs more boring. Give me the lecture episodes. Give me the Rocky montage of studying for finals and barely making it.
Give me the drop them on a planet and do the survival training episode.
Right.
Where they're just like stuck sitting around a campfire trying to figure out how to survive.
Honestly, we got to like, what was it, episode 9, and Holly Hunter's like, well, congratulations, cadets, we're at the end of our year, day 300, and I'm like, I feel like I just got here. The hell?
That's it. It's like orientation followed by day 300.
Oh, hey, how you become a Starfleet captain in Star Trek Online.
That sounds like my college career, but that's because I was drinking.
Hell yeah. Now,
yeah, dude, alcoholism notwithstanding, right?
Join the academy. Recruit today, captain tomorrow. Anyway, yeah. So I will say that it was not the worst Star Trek. It was not. Okay, people that are saying it's the worst Star Trek ever, you all are fucking milking your clickbait bullshit crap just to huck your spewing hatred. The show
it wasn't the worst, but it does need work.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
It was like it was all right. It was like a Denny's that failed its health inspection recently. That's the kind of Star Trek that I'd say. Not quite the Denny's grade Star Trek that I'm going to put on again. Would I watch this show again? I don't want to.
So wait a minute. You're saying this is Star Trek Waffle House?
That's an insult to Waffle House. Waffle House has consistency, okay? This show does not yet.
Okay, fair.
Wait, hold on. More than anything, the show is like when it comes down to Star Trek and just most shows that are releasing these days, like Hulu and FX has 100% sealed the Disney Plus subscription in my house. Like, because of what Hulu produces month after month, year after year, I'm like, I never want to question it. Netflix, same story. Apple. The amount of stuff that I just accidentally find on there and watch 5 seasons of, shout out to 7 Deadly Sins, like, Netflix has done that for me since Netflix invented streaming. Apple TV is like my metric because I only turn on Apple TV when a new show that I like is starting, and then I cancel it as soon as that show ends so I can save some money. I have never
shout out to Apple. Fuck you.
Ever paid for Paramount.
No.
And
I have, but I have an integrity to keep for the channel.
Like it's more than anything, it's what everything Paramount produces lately. Like, you can tell me it's great.
You mean you don't want to watch Yellow Tulsa 1920 83? King?
And dude, I would rather just not watch. Like, if you tell me it's on Paramount, I'll wait till Netflix options it for a little while. I'll wait till HBO options it for a little while.
New from Tyler Sheridan. He's a misunderstood badass.
Right.
She is an underdog feminist.
But, like, here's the biggest part is Paramount has never bridged the gap where my wife also wants it. Netflix did that. Like, Netflix has half of what I want, shout out 7 Deadly Sins, half of what she wants, shout out to Love is Blind. Like,
Bridgerton,
yeah, dude. And those are shows that, like, I've watched the full series because my wife loves them, and I paid for the subscription the whole time, and I will not think about canceling it.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's more become a monthly expense that I know is coming rather than something I care about, like, deleting. Apple TV doesn't have the same consistency and also doesn't have the back catalog. So
Yeah.
every time I finish the season, turn it off till the new season comes out. And yeah, sometimes that runs for like 6 months and I don't have a problem with it because Apple is consistently good. But like, again, Paramount, Peacock, Tubi, all of these other ones, I have every single problem paying more than 1 month subscription because I know for a fact I can binge everything within that 1 month. And then I'll just wait a few months until I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Like,
Ranger
if your
Donnie
goal is
says,
money,
my good
this
friend.
is my story for why your money is not being made.
Yeah.
Okay.
My good friend Stuart Foley of Trek Yards didn't like episode 9 of SFA, yet I love it more than the finale. Well, you and your good friend Stuart Foley should probably come to our Star Trek special show starting in September. Probably, maybe, most likely, very definitely, because we should probably do a Star Trek show starting in September. But yes, Donnie, if you're interested in joining a panel, we're probably going to, similarly to Clobber and Time's Saturday Night Star Trek show where they do 4 episodes, episode by episode, we're going to go through all of Star Trek, all the shows, all the movies, everything, probably including what you mentioned here, and we're going to decide Star Trek or Star Poop. Ranger Donnie says, at TWB Home, Starfleet Academy is better than the Section 31 movie overall.
Oh,
yeah, well,
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Look,
that's not
everything
really
is better.
Yeah, that's not really a
Fucking
high
God.
bar considering that people walked out of that movie and they were at home streaming. So, I mean,
Rough.
I heard that people couldn't even make it that long. Like, some people quit after 20 minutes, and I was like, there's nothing. That is, you want to talk about a show that is Star Trek face? That's Star Trek face.
Yeah.
From what I've
That
heard
was-
on the
that was
synopsis
just-
is. But I'm going to have to probably watch it once if we're going to do our... I hear that Excretion 31 has the benefit of setting the lowest possible bar for Star Trek to ever have. But the only problem is you can't... I disagree with your comparison on the simple fact that Starfleet Academy is like an 8-hour long movie and Section 31 is only 2.5 hours of pain.
But feels like a 16-hour movie of pain.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
okay.
I did the thing. I watched it.
Oh yeah, no, I got drunk enough and
All right.
I watched it one Saturday night.
Yeah.
Then
It doesn't get good. It doesn't make sense. And it's so fucking
Oh, I might even just do a whole live
Dude,
watch
I
through of that
was
on my
so
personal
desperate.
channel with
I was
with
so
audio,
desperate.
with visual.
Yeah, listen, man. I was so desperate after watching it. I was sucking the barrel of a Nerf gun. Okay, like
Are we gonna have the Christmas special or Christmas holiday Star Wars special this one, but TWB
Yeah.
style?
yeah,
Like, yeah. All right.
yeah.
I might do that when the time comes, but we'll see. But I
Like
think yeah.
we're talking like this is bad. We're talking Grandpa Wookiee watching porn in the living room bad.
Oh, that is pretty bad. That's so alcohol will be.
It's coked out Carrie Fisher clearly so fucked up on something that she can barely say her lines right bad.
Yeah. Speaking
Dude,
of
it's-
Section 31, Donnie says,
it literally
"Remember
does
this."
not make any
Don't
sense.
say this.
Not just like in terms of like how is this related to Star Trek, but also in terms of everything else. Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
are relationships that are supposedly fostered across the shows. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, they just walk them in like you've been watching the whole time.
Yeah.
Like you're
that's
supposed
right.
to see the loving embrace and actually like understand it automatically. It's like everything you don't do, which is rely on previous work to make your work bearable. And
This
it is a movie.
look, Section 31 only works if you've taken a traumatic injury to the head and do not remember 30 seconds to 30 seconds. Like,
so be a goldfish.
Yeah, if you have goldfish
Okay.
memory, it's a great movie.
Our uncle was in a coma for 6 years, and he woke up to turn this movie off. That's how little sense it made.
It's pretty good. Ranger Donnie posted his review of Section 31, and actually, I think I remember reading it when you posted it. January of last year. And just how terrible. Yeah, it was. I was like, yeah, no, that's. I think that was actually one of the reasons I avoided watching the movie up until, when I'm gonna have to later. So, yeah, I still stand with the Curse the Section 31 movie crowd. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's what I hear. It's pretty brutal. It's like you can't get any worse than that. And all right, let's just leave Section 31 as the lowest of the low for Star Trek. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Ranger Donnie, I want to thank you for tuning in and being a proud producer tonight. I also want to thank everybody else lurking, chatting. Please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. We need it to grow. I love doing this. Guys, did you guys have a good time tonight? I think I had a great time tonight.
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
think
good.
You had a great time too.
That's good. Please be sure to join us next week. We will officially be kicking off our 4th anniversary celebration. Be with you with our Star Wars revival of reviewing Star Wars Episode 4, the first Star Wars movie. I was hoping we'd have a couple of more subs for this, but that's okay. We can always do it again later. But it is. Yeah, I'm right there with Disney. That I'm more excited for Starfighter. I have more faith in Starfighter than I do Mando and Grogu. But
Bro, I feel like that's just because Disney didn't invest in advertising. Because honestly, I think this
That's
show
part
is
of it.
broken.
It's part of it. But we've got to also... At this point, I think it's down to us, the fans, to decide if we're going to get happy and excited for Star Wars again. And you know what? Now that Kennedy's gone... Now that Favreau is going to have more of an influence, and now that Filoni's officially the creative guy, and now that we have that wonderful finance lady who apparently has a very impeccable track record of getting things funded and not actually losing money, I think that Star Wars is headed in a good direction. So I think that it is worth trying to get excited for. So to do that, we're going to go back to episode 4. We're going to do 5. We're going to do 6. We're going to probably do the prequels. We're going to do the Disney Star Wars movies that we actually like. We're going to do all the Disney... We're going to talk about the Disney stuff we actually like. We're going to talk about all the Star Wars video games we actually like. We're going to do all of this every Tuesday starting next week, leading up to May 22nd. It's our Star Wars revival. And that's, so pop culture and Star Wars and whatever else we might be watching, which, as it turns out, will be Star Wars because Maul Shadow Legends drops on the 6th.
Yeah.
So, and that looks badass. And that is also why I'm hopeful that this future of Star Wars is that, okay, yeah, Mando and Grogu may be more of the kid-friendly, you bring your 6-year-old to Star Wars movie. I'm not really that worried about it because have you guys watched the Maul Shadow Legend trailer?
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah. And it's like, so, all right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, watching, liking, subscribing. Like I said, do all the things we need, please, and we will continue to improve the quality of our product as best we can. Don't worry. We got a lot of cool things planned coming up this year. It's going to be great. Until then, I'll see you next week. Good night. This has been the Entertainment Information Intelligence Podcast from the Writer Brothers. The Writer Brothers, restoring respect into discourse. You all have a great night.